Hello, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you, as always, for helping us out with all those pieces that we all need to know about here so that this goes smoothly. So we're really excited. Happy New Year. We are in our first, as Jeff mentioned, of 3 webinars for career exploration for this month. And we will be, as we usually do, listing for you the link so that you'll have that for registration and information for each of the upcoming webinars that we'll have. And I want to take just a moment to be able to welcome here with us as speakers today. We have Brande Kitzberger, as well as Vanessa Zuber. It looks like some of you folks are familiar with these guys. That's wonderful. They have been here in the community for quite some time, offering services to schools and all of you students, persons with disabilities. So Vanessa is the Director of Employment Services with WorkAbility, and Brande is the Curriculum Services Program Manager. So thank you so much, both Vanessa and Brande, for being here with us. We're really happy to have you, and I'm going to hand it off to you guys now.
Hey, Brenda.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Are we all excited that it's Friday?
Woohoo!
Well, I'm Vanessa Zuber. As Miss Wendy Warren mentioned, I'm the director of our program called WorkAbility. Go ahead, Brande.
My name's Brande Kitzberger. Some of you I know, I've done some pre-EX classes with you. Some of you have been in our transition to employment classes over the summer. And I oversee all of our classes that have to do with employment and helping you learn what it's like to have a job. So we're really excited to be here.
We're very excited to be here. And, you know, the cool thing about WorkAbility is we cover all kinds of topics related to employment, how to get a job, what it looks like to have a job. And I think the important thing to know is that we work with Voc Rehab, and you might have heard about Voc Rehab. You might have heard about, job coaching. What could that mean? But where we always like to start is with career exploration. Go ahead, Jeff. And I think it's really cool to think about, like, when we're thinking about what types of jobs we might want to do, or, oh, cool, somebody had put in the chat that they've recently been accepted in Voc Rehab. That's awesome. And so we always like to ask people, you know, what do you already know about career exploration? You know, are you learning about careers in school? Are you learning about transition topics? Have you attended a career day or a career fair or a job fair even? Why don't you guys put some things in the chat? Tell us what you already know about career exploration. I remember you, Carly. Do you guys want to pop in what you guys know? A zoo greeter, Mr. Chris. Some of you may have ideas already about what you may want to do after high school, or what you have an interest in doing in your jobs. You may have somebody put they want to be an art therapist. Some of you already know what types of skills you may possess. We're going to get into that in a little bit. And some of you have some very clear ideas about how you want your job or how you want that to look like, right? We're going to get into preferences. Keep going. I love all the stuff going on in the chat box. A paramedic. Look at this great stuff, Brande.
Wonderful. Yeah. An animator. I love it.
Isn't this great?
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome. And I think the thing to think about, go ahead and go to the next slide, Jeff. is, you all have these great ideas. You're putting some awesome, yep. Look at this, writer of fiction, fantastic. When
Nice.
you're thinking about all these amazing things or ideas of what you want to do, you have to think about how do you get there? What are some things that you have to do to get to being a fiction writer, to become a paramedic? What are some things that you need to have or things that you need to know about yourself? So we always like to start with self-advocacy. How many of you know what self-advocacy means? Can you guys put that in the chat box?
Kyle, it's cool to see that you want to be a publicist.
Yes. I don't know, Brandy, what do you think about self-advocacy? I'm just gonna, you and I could go back and forth here, but like, what does it mean to be a self-advocate?
Well, first, I think it means that you got to know who you are, and you got to know what you're good at and what's hard for you. Like, for
Yes,
example,
sorry, Brandy, somebody mentioned in the chat that they want to be able to speak up for themselves, which is
exactly.
perfect.
Being able to tell people what you want and what you need. And so first you've got to know what you want and need, and then you can tell people what you want and need. And this happens in life, but it particularly happens at work, because we have a lot of people we have to communicate with. And so it's really important that we know what's important to us.
That's right. Somebody put in about fair treatment. And that is very true. Being able to understand, your rights, and being able to, leads into other things like making choices, making decisions, asking for help. Somebody put ask for help. That's awesome. You guys are so on it. I love this. What do you think, Brandy? Aren't they smart?
They are all over self-advocacy.
They are all over it.
I think we learned it a few times.
I think so.
For the Abbey School, excuse me, for the Intermountain students, I think hopefully it was my pre-eds classes who helped.
Yes. And they're wonderful teachers that work with them. I think that, I know that this is becoming more and more something you guys are hearing in high school,
Can I say something?
Oh, we'd love it.
Last year when I was still in school before the COVID, I was actually I was in my normal class, and then I was transferred to a different class. And the reason why was because it was for me to be a role model for the younger kids, which I thought was kind of cool.
I love it.
And is that something that you wanted to do, Dylan?
Huh?
Is that something that you wanted to do?
I didn't really care if that happened, but it was what the teachers thought would be great for me to do.
And were you good at it?
To help teachers out. So that's what they did.
And so were you good at that, Dylan?
Yeah.
Cool.
I did it for the whole last year.
Nice.
Well, see, and sometimes people, your teachers, your parents, friends, may see strengths that you have. So like in what Dylan just shared, sometimes your teachers are going to see strengths that you possess. And sometimes that's helpful as we're making our journey into exploration, as we're making our journey into transition after high school. That's right. Somebody said that their past has influenced them. That's fantastic. Yeah, helping others, that's a skill. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So today we're going to kind of get into more detail about the differences between what an interest and a hobby, interest, hobby kind of go together, skills, preferences, values. What are the difference between those three terms? Okay. And a lot of times we find what we want in the middle of all that. So just think of it this way. If you know what you have an interest in, and a lot of you put some really cool stuff in the chat box, and then thinking about what you're good at. And this is where self-advocacy comes into play, because you have to be able to think about, yes, it's good chat stuff. This is fantastic. You have to think about all the things that you're good at, all the things that you know how to do, okay? Not just bad things or things you struggle with, but the good things, the things that you know that you're good at. And then you have to think about your preferences, what you want or what you need, okay? So Brande, I'm gonna show a video, but after I show the video, Brande is gonna give us like a tour, is how I like to think of it, right, Brande?
Mhm.
You're gonna get a tour of what interests, hobbies, skills, preferences, and values mean, okay? Are we all down for this? Are we ready? I want to see hands. Let me see your hands. We are ready for this. I think that some thumbs up. Go.
Yes.
Woo! Yes. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to show a video now. Jeff, do you want me to share the video, or can you share the video for this one?
Yeah, I can share this one. This one seemed to be a pretty good volume.
All right. I love everybody's participation, by the way. Y'all are rocking it.
Mm.
Second. All right.
Is your career path clear to you? If not, you're not alone. Choosing a career direction can be daunting, but don't worry, you've got this. It's all about thoughtful exploration. Start with yourself. Conduct a self-assessment, creating a VIPS list. VIPS stands for values, interests, personality, and skills, and it can guide your career plan. Values relate to what's most important to you when you think about your career. Is it rewarding work, high pay, location? Interests are things you like to do or are naturally drawn to. They're what engage or energize you. Personality is how you interact with the world. It's your way of doing things, your style. Skills are things you do well. They're informed by knowledge and talent and refined through practice. Once you've got your list, you can match your VIPs with possible fields and career options. Before you know it, you'll be on your way to a successful, rewarding career. Ready to get started? There's a wealth of information to help you explore, plan, and pursue your career path at careercenter.depaul.edu.
That's great.
Hey,
Well, I
Vanessa,
think we're ready to pass the baton over to Miss Brande Kitzberger. She's going to give us a wonderful tour.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to first talk about is interests. And so what do you guys think interests are? And if you want to just say things out, that's fine. If you want to type them in the chat, that's fine too. What are your interests? Go for it, TJ.
so there's another thing I got for values, but like interests, like basically trying to think, but like I mostly have it for like the values thing, because it was one thing I don't exactly agree with in that video.
Okay.
No, it was not about interest. It's actually one of the values.
Values. We're going to talk about values in just a moment. Okay.
I didn't. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay, TJ. So we have interests. These are things that you like to do. These are hobbies, fun things that make you want to learn more about something. They make you want to, they get you excited, they get you energized. And sometimes we have interests that last for just a short amount of time. So maybe for a semester if you're taking an art class, or we have interests that last our whole lives and we come back and forth to them. And so it depends. Like, for example, I love music. But when I was young, I played instruments, and now I just listen to music and it makes me happy. And that's something I'm interested in. So I see art and painting, very good. Let's see, we have anime, awesome. Reading and drawing, nice. Story writing, very cool, very cool. I see a lot of art, very artistic people here. Noah, you're a singer. Wow, very cool. So these are all different things that helps us when we start thinking about careers. It helps us know, what are the things that I like to do? And when we have our interests, that they help us go, because if you like art and drawing, maybe you don't want to work on a computer. Maybe you need to be more creative. And so these things help us make decisions on what we want to do. Let's see, any other interests? Drawing, card making, nice. Astronomy, wow. Music, I see. These are awesome. Lots of music, lots of, cats. I see some people like animals. Yes. Awesome. Entertaining people, Jessica, very nice. Working with animals.
Somebody had mentioned earlier about being a counselor and art therapist. I know, pretty
Very
awesome
nice
stuff.
So that tells me you probably like to work with people and you like to teach people. And that's really important. That's a definitely, could go into something you're interested in. Very nice. Awesome. So it sounds like you guys have a lot of really good interests. And so we always start there. When we talk about advocacy, we talk about what do you like? Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is preferences. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Skills. No, you were right. You're right. Sorry, Jeff. I'm confusing everybody. So skills. These are things that you can do. Okay. They're what you're good at. Those strengths that we were talking about a little bit earlier. And some of you put some things that could be strengths also. So let's think about that. What are some skills that you have that help, that people have told you do well, or you have, or you know yourself? What are some of those skills that you're good at? Some things that you can do, something that I can see or Vanessa can see. Awesome. Good at being kind and respectful. Right. I like this. Writing, learning, research. Very good. Math is a skill. Big time skill. Nice. Very good. Singing, reading and writing, drawing. All of these are skills. Absolutely. These are things that you've learned and developed over time. And that you can say, I'm good at, or I'm not so good at this. And you can assess it. Nice. Writing. Ooh, dancing. Nice. Cooking. Oh, I love
fantastic
to cook. Nice. Creative with school projects. Nice. Singing, dancing, writing. All of these are very good skills. Now I want you to think about some skills that you would need for work. What are some things that your coworkers or your boss would say, I need you to do this skill well? What are some of those skills at work you need?
I already got my career path already planned.
Awesome.
My
Awesome.
skills are like engineering, electrical engineering, botany, music, designing, stuff like that.
Awesome.
And I love fish, and I'm very knowledgeable about it. And I'm planning on eventually making, starting my own fish hatchery
Nice.
company.
That's
I currently
really,
have,
go ahead, Dylan.
I currently have like more than 100 fish right now in my home.
Wow, that's awesome. It sounds like you've been really studying this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I currently have 60 goldfish that were always crowded at the store. And
Mhm.
usually when you have goldfish that are crowded so much, they release a lot of ammonia from the waste that they produce, and that
Mhm.
tends to kill them off a lot. But
Awesome.
I try
Well,
to I
with
take a
that,
certain amount.
Dylan, so what we have is it sounds like you have a lot of good work skills and tasks that
Yeah,
you are able to do.
yeah.
And so we have things like being organized,
Mhm.
having a
Mhm.
positive attitude, helping others,
Mhm.
being reliable. Oh my goodness, that's an important skill. Yes.
Communicative,
Being
being
very,
communicative.
absolutely. Taking direction,
Mhm.
completing tasks, remembering what you're supposed to do. All of those are important skills that we need to be successful at work, plus other ones that are out there too. So we have to start thinking, we talked about what we like, and then we talk about what skills and things that we do well at. Okay. And so those two things help us go, what kind of job can combine my interests and my skills? Okay. And so that's really important in our self-advocacy piece. So I like that. Not making excuses at work. Very good. Very good. Making sure that you're responsible and flexible. Nice.
Mhm.
Nice. Helping others. All really good skills. So
Very good.
now that we've talked about interests and skills, we're going to now talk about preferences and values. Oh, goodness.
We have to watch a video.
Watch a video. Excuse me. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, everybody. Sorry.
Well, we're getting so excited, Brandy.
I
I
know.
mean, look at all these great things happening in the chat box. How can we not feel excited about what everybody's thoughts are on skills? I mean, it's awesome. So we're going to watch a video on a gentleman who is going to share a little bit about his skills and how that relates to the job that he is doing right now. And I'm going to share my screen, okay? And then we'll go back to our presentation. So,
I have one thing to say to you ladies. I actually own a trailer home
Nice.
and I live in it. So
Excuse me.
Nice.
Excuse me.
that's great.
Hmm.
Okay, are we ready? Here we go.
Hello, my name is Mark Mendivas. I'm here to speak to you a little bit about career exploration and the various skill sets that I have and how that relates to my job. I'm the committed outreach specialist, which means I help people find work in various employment. I have various computer skills. I also am able to speak to languages which allow me to translate. I have 2 degrees from Bima Community College, and again, my education was a choice that I made consciously to improve myself. So every decision one makes is going to affect the course of your life. Actually, when I first started college, I changed my major 6 times before I decided on a career.
Okay. So what did you guys notice just really quickly about Mark's video? Did he like have it all figured out right away what he wanted to do? You guys want to put some stuff in the chat?
I do art in anime.
Well, let's talk about the video that you guys watched. What were
Oh,
some
yeah.
skills? What were some skills that he shared? Somebody put persistence to live independent. That's great. But what were some of his skills that he had, that he shared? You guys remember?
He did the computer skills.
Wonderful. Yep. He had some computer skills. What were some other things he shared? I think he had mentioned something about speaking 2 languages, right?
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing, huh? That's a pretty cool skill. How many of you can speak 2 languages? I see some hands going up. I like that somebody put not letting his disabilities get in the way. Very good. Fantastic. That's right. And then now he has a job, he has a career, and you know, he made some choices, right? What were some choices he made? Do you guys remember? Go.
I don't
Go ahead.
know, but I do know that he got a degree, I think.
Yep, he decided he wanted to go to college. That's exactly right. So he had to be a self-advocate for himself. He had to advocate for those things. He had to think about what he was good at, what his own skills were. And also he knew that he wanted to help people. So he pursued his dream. Somebody put that in the chat somewhere. So thanks for watching that video. Mark's a good guy. And all of you can do this. All of you can have a dream. You can go to school. You can continue going. Yep, somebody said they speak both English and Spanish. Fantastic. That is a skill, guys. If you can speak 2 languages, that is a skill. If you know how to use a computer, that is a skill. If you know how to talk to people, all of that is wonderful.
Miss,
So,
do you know Spanish?
excuse me?
Do you know Spanish a little bit?
You know, it's funny. I know a little bit of Spanish, but you know who knows Spanish? Miss
Oh.
Brande Kitzberger. She can speak 2 languages. Not to throw you out in front of everybody, Brande, but
There's only one sentence I learned how to say in Spanish, but that's pretty much it. Which is "Hola, cómo estás, tú bien?" That's all I
wonderful.
learned. So
That's
kind of sucks, but
awesome.
at least what I learned.
Well, Brandy's going to continue taking us on a tour, right? So we'll go back to the presentation, but you guys are really doing wonderful, wonderful job.
So we talked about what we like. We talked about what we do. Now we got to talk about what we want, what's important to us at work. Okay. How many of you like loud environments? Raise your hand. You like it when it's loud and chaotic and crazy? Don't see many, just a few maybe. How about, do you like quiet event places? More? Okay. Those are definitely something to think about at work. Do you want to work at home or do you want to work at a business? What do you guys think? Home? Raise your hand if you want to work at home. Yeah, I see Melinda saying yeah. How about working at a business, like going out to a company? Michaela, I see. TJ. Nice. Very cool. How about working alone? How many of you like to work alone?
I see some in the chat.
Yeah, I see Jose saying, I like to work alone. Okay, and then how many people are interested in working with people? Let us know if you like working with people. Nice, Michaela's saying yes, Dylan's yes, TJ, very nice, awesome. Noah's kind of like working with people. These are important preferences to think about when we're thinking about our job and where we want to work. Do you want to work part-time? up to like 20 hours a week? Or do you want to work full-time, 40 hours a week?
Me, I'm just gonna do part-time.
Very nice, Melinda. Thank you very
My
much.
family.
So,
Can I say something about what the video said and the values?
yeah.
So you remember it said how it said high pay?
Mhm.
You should never look for a job just for money. That is one of the biggest mistakes you can make in a career, because there has been a research where usually the people who make a lot of money are the least happy. This is not. This is like through majority, not majority, but like this. It's not. I'm not saying everybody, but like a good portion.
Mhm.
So they did a research about that. They study about that. So more people, and then so usually around the happiest people are usually people like
So
it's usually
TJ,
people who. So what the best thing is, like, don't ever go for money. Just go for like what you want to do. You know, because that's where you find usually the people who are usually the happiest.
right. Well, you're
Yeah.
right, because different people things. So this goes back to preferences. What do people prefer? And so you bring a good point up, TJ. That sometimes it's important for people to have money. And so it just depends because different people have different interests and preferences. And it's really important that we know and understand what is important to us. And it might not be your personal values, but everybody has their own values and what's important to them.
Yeah. But like,
So we also have, do you want a sit down job or do you want to be moving around? Do you does your schedule need to be routine, like the same days every week, or are you flexible? You can work on Tuesday and Thursday one week,
yeah. But
or
like,
Monday, Wednesday, Friday another week. And so those are things that are our preferences of what's important to us when we're getting a job, what we want, what we need from a
Can I
job
say something?
to make us
yeah.
happy. Okay.
Like what I was trying to say, like, is like if you're gonna pick a job that you want for like because you enjoy it, or a job that pays more money, I would go for the one that you enjoy the most. That's what I'm trying to say.
Awesome. That is
Very
awesome,
good.
TJ, because that is your preference. And this goes back to TJ, you're awesome because you just reminded me, this goes back to self-advocacy. What you have to think about what's important to you and be able to talk about it like you just said. That's perfect, TJ. So it's important for us to be able to talk about what's important to us, what
Mhm.
we like, what we do well, what we want.
And a lot of times, I'm just going to jump in really quickly, is if you are pretty strong in what you know, that like the things that you know you want, and you're really good at understanding what your skills are, then all of that can help you keep your job, because you have to think about, well, how do I use all of these, how do I use my preferences? How do I use my skills? How do I self-advocate for me to keep my job, right? Because there's getting a job, but then there's being able to do it day after day. So
Uh,
that is why it's so important to think, do I want to work 40 hours? Do I want to work part-time, which is less than 40? If you're the kind of person that has a lot of things going on, maybe working 40 hours would be tough. If you're going to live independent, if you're going to live on your own, you may have to work 40 hours in order to afford living on your own. So all
can I say
these
something?
things you have to think about.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Brian.
It's not Brian. I'm Miguel. I'm just
Okay.
using.
Okay, Miguel, sorry.
What I wanted to say is, I'm gonna take like a college course in sociology, which would
Mm.
really mean like learning about different folks of like genders, races, ethnicities, anything like that. And like I wanted like to break the stereotype that like people with autism uh like can't feel empathy or understand folks of who are different, which is not true. People can understand, we just gotta learn how each other and how go.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that I want to choose this career path because I really did great in high school because I did great in my classes that revolve around history. So I think doing research and understanding folks, I feel like that would be a good career path for me if for taking sociology. So and also maybe I could visit go places outside the United States
Mhm.
from time to time.
What I like about what you just said, Miguel, is you just incorporated all three areas. You talked about what you were interested in. You taught, which was, learning more about diverse communities and helping people. The skills that you have, you want to help people, you want to communicate. And then their preferences. It's really important. You want to work with people and you want to travel potentially. And so all of those things are helping you decide that maybe sociology or a job in that social fields could be, you could be very successful at. So that was awesome, Miguel. You just basically did my next slide, if you don't believe it.
You can change the name back to Brian Hunter. I'm just using your account, by the way.
Miguel, you just did it. It was awesome. I couldn't believe it. So just what Miguel said was amazing, but it's important to know that the interest, skills, and preferences will help us identify what you want to do. Okay, and the thing is those things change too. What you might have wanted to do when you were 5 years old is very different now that you're 17, 18, 19, 20.
I'm gonna be 19.
You're going to be 19, right?
My birthday's next week.
Awesome. Lots of birthdays happening lately.
I'm
And
gonna be
so,
21.
cool.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to
Yeah,
watch a
October.
video. Kareen is going to talk very similar to what Miguel just talked about, is how do these things all come together to help us decide what kind of career that we want.
Hi, my name is Kareen, and I always like to tell my members that it's important to get a job that they're passionate about. I'm really big on telling them to integrate their interests, hobbies, skills, and preferences because I think that gives them a good idea of what it's going to take for them to get a job that not only they get paid for, but also that they love. I know that I've definitely used I've considered those things in my career. I graduated from the University of Arizona with a degree in counseling, and throughout trying to decide that and the whole process of figuring out where I wanted my career path to go, I knew that I was really a people person. I wanted to help people, and I was skilled in communication. And so I was able to consider all of those things in my own career, and I consider myself really fortunate to be helping others become self advocates when they're trying to develop their own careers.
Awesome. Thank you, Kareen. So in the chat box, what were some of the things that she said that she was interested in? What was she interested in? Yes, absolutely, TJ. Helping other people, very important. She's very passionate about that. Absolutely. And it's important because she likes people. She's good at helping people. and she prefers to work with people. See how those kind of go together? How she was able to think about what she likes, what she does well, and what she wants in life. Yes, Brian, she can help out. She can work out their problems. Those are all things that are really important. Absolutely. People person. Help society for people. Absolutely. Very cool. So those are all things that when we're thinking about our careers, we want to think about how our interests, skills, and preferences can kind of help us decide what kind of job that we want. And Vanessa, I'm not sure if we have enough time to do the game. So I think that we're going to go ahead and skip that because it seems like these guys know a lot about skills, interests, and preferences. So we're going to go ahead and skip through this right now. It's going to take a little bit of time. We were going to play a game on what are these examples. So we're going to go ahead and skip through this because of time. You guys pretty much know all of this information. So what's next? Okay, what we've got to learn, just what Miguel was talking about, is we've got to learn now. We know what we like, we know what we can do, and we know what we want. So now we've got to learn through networking and through research. Go ahead, Jeff. So networking, informal interviews. This is one way that is so great to learn about different types of jobs that are out there. And some questions you might want to ask are things like, what is your job? What are some of your work responsibilities? What experience do you get? What do you have to get this job? These are all important questions to start asking people around you about the different jobs that you're interested in. How long have you been working at this place? What is your typical day like? Because it's important to know if it's a job where you sit around a lot, or you're in meetings, or you're working with your hands. And so you want to kind of know, what is your day like? Do you have a lot of paperwork to do? Do you have to work with a lot of people? What is that like? What's your background? What got you to this place? Because all people have interesting reasons why they got the job that they have. And so it's important to kind of hear what was their process of going through. What do you like about your job? That's important to know. What are the good things about the job? And also, what don't you like about the job? Because especially that could probably be even more important. So, Vanessa, do you want to go ahead and finish up?
Yeah, so I think it's really cool because informational interviews can happen. If let's say you and your family visit a restaurant and you want to learn more about the restaurant business, you can actually ask these questions. You can go in and say, hey, can I talk to you? And you can get a lot of information about what it would be like to work at a restaurant. Maybe you have an interest in being a teacher. You could interview one of the Sonoran USED folks. I know Lori, Allison, and Wendy would probably be wonderful people to interview. I know Brande and myself, you can interview us to kind of learn what we do. But it's just a great way to understand what a job looks like. What goes into that job. Does it match what you like? And you are the ultimate person. You are the person that has to work the job, not myself, not Brande, not your teacher, not your parents. You guys are going to be working this job. So it's really important to self-advocate, learn as much as you can, do research on what these interests you all shared all these amazing interests in the chat box. So you want to make sure you look up what those jobs mean, what goes into those jobs. On the next slide, there are some wonderful resources that I believe Miss Wendy Warren will be sharing. You guys can have access to all these resources. And you know, you guys can explore all those interests that you have on some of these resources. Career One Stop is amazing. There's lots of videos on there. The Pipeline, again, more wonderful videos. Road Trip Nation. Let's see, let's go to the next slide. I know we're kind of coming down to the end. So this is a time to pick our brains. If anyone has a question, if there's anything that we can expand upon, now is the time to ask all the questions you want to ask. Somebody wants a copy of the PowerPoint. That would be Miss Wendy Warren. Sonoran, you said. On the last slide, you guys keep thinking about questions. On our very last slide, there is our information. Brande and I both, we have our emails there. We have WorkAbility's website. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram.
I have one more thing.
Yes, please ask.
This is, I think, very important. So it's because the thing I have, like, you know, I worry a little bit for myself in a hard time is that since I have autism, like mostly high functioning, I get afraid sometimes if I don't know if, like, you know, people are exploiting me or not when it comes to, you know, general work. I don't know my rights.
Well, that is a really important piece. You know, what school do you go to?
I right now I'm, like, you know, with Phoenix College, but with, like, you know, a program.
Okay. Well, what you can do is if you want to learn more about your rights, you can visit, there's a couple different places in town, but you can also reach out to us. We have a whole thing on client rights that we could share with you.
Right now, I actually do have a job. It's a fast food place.
It's also really important to learn more about the Americans Disabilities Act. That's you'll hear it mentioned as ADA, and that really gets into some of what your rights are in the workplace. And so maybe we can put that in the chat. I think that's interesting information for anybody if you have an interest in it. Americans, let's see if I can type fast enough.
So you ladies are work with your employees for WorkAbility then, I'm guessing?
Yes, we are. So Brian,
I used to have there used to be a lady, and she would come to my school and she would do like internships with my class. I got to clean and spiffy up like really old buses and wagons and stuff. It was really fun.
Yeah, I think that was back in the day. I want to say it was either probably both Lisa Dean, Mrs. Dean,
that's
and
her.
used to come out.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, Carly.
I like yes,
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, there's so many great things to learn, you know, internships. Gosh, that's another great way to explore jobs. You know, informational interviews, you know, internships, learning more about your rights, learning more about the Americans with Disabilities Act.
By the way, I wanted to say something that's really crazy.
Yeah.
Carly's birthday is on the 10th of October. Mine's on the 15th.
How funny.
We're both born in the year 2000.
That's great.
So there was a question Brian had asked about how do you get a job application? And that can be a couple of different ways. One, you have to know what type of job you are wanting to apply for. And then sometimes you have companies, everything is online. Most places now, there's online applications that you fill in and submit. Every once in a while, though, you're going to find a small local business that still does paper applications. And
Also,
so
sometimes.
that's an option also.
Mhm.
So again, if you're interested in applying for a job, one, you want to make sure you're interested, you have the skills, and it's going to provide you with the things you want in a job, your preferences, and then finding out how to get that application, whether it's online or you have to go in person.
Mhm.
I'm a really big fish person, and I'm planning on working at PetSmart since they have fish there. So
That's a good
That's
example,
great.
Dylan. Good
also,
example.
when you're searching online for applications, sometimes it's really hard to find it, and you can't find it. So another solution is you can go directly to the store and go up to the cashier and ask if they can bring down a application so you can.
Mhm.
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 Absolutely. Very good problem solving skills, Dylan.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This has been a great conversation, and I just want to speak on behalf of the Soren USAID team. Thank you, Vanessa and Brandy, for taking the time today and spending it with us.